I mean, they were thinking reversed, and she was talking reversed and backwards, and complicated. Hello and welcome back with another episode review of the animated series. Today we're going to talk about the final episode of the animated series called The Counterclock Incident. Okay, so this episode is the last episode of the series. Season 2, only 6 episodes, and this is the last episode of the series. I had a sort of bad feeling at the beginning when I started to watch the episode as this is gonna be the last one and there's no other animated series episodes, and then there's no other animated series. The animated series is finished. It's gone. I'm gonna miss it. So in this episode, the Enterprise and the crew escorting Commodore Robert April and his wife to planet Babel. Robert April was the first commander of the USS Enterprise, and his wife was the chief medical officer in the Enterprise. It was really touching at the beginning because Commodore April was in the bridge next to Captain Kirk, and he had memories about commanding a star, commanding the Enterprise, and being in the bridge, and physically his first home and the forever home. Like when you're first in love with someone, you'll never be able to forget the person. Yeah, and this is exactly how a starship captain feels about his first ship as a captain. No matter what, that will be your first love, and that's gonna be your forever love. I kinda liked this really touching scene at the beginning, and Robert April and Captain Kirk, and talking about the Enterprise itself, and even April said to Kirk, like, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about, and Kirk said, yes, absolutely. I think the relationship between Kirk and the Enterprise is more like an intimate relationship, not as having as a son, as having more of a wife, more of a lifetime partner. I think that was the case more or less in terms of Kirk and the Enterprise. And obviously Mrs. April comes to the bridge with Dr. McCoy as the first medical officer in the Enterprise, and Dr. McCoy was just so overwhelmed because of the fact how much did she put into the medical equipment for the first run of the ship. At one point I felt a little frustration from Kirk's side, because obviously Robert April was gone for a long time, because after Robert April there was Christopher Pike, and then James T. Kirk. I had a feeling Kirk felt a bit uncomfortable, in a sense of he's being watched by his predecessor in the bridge, and obviously Robert April knew the Enterprise, but then Jim Kirk was the actual commander on the Enterprise. It's the sort of, you want to look better in front of your predecessor, and you want to be even better than he was. So suddenly there's a ship appearing on the screen, and the ship heading towards to the Beta Niobe Nova at warp factor 36. The Enterprise accelerated up above warp factor 22, while the ship was attached with a tractor beam towards the other ship. So they tried to slow down this ship. It was interesting because at the beginning it was the ship was in collision course with the Enterprise. The ship was actually in collision course with the Nebula, not with the Enterprise, but the Enterprise was sort of in the way. Kirk suddenly wanted to contact with the ship, and he wanted to actually save the damn thing, but he got a message from the ship in a totally different language. That totally different language was a reversed language. So they were talking in English, but obviously that was reversed. They didn't really know at the beginning what to do, but the pilot obviously said, okay, don't interfere with my mission, I have to go back to the Nebula. But they tried to slow her down and just tell her what's going on with the tractor beam, but instead of stopping and slowing down the ship, and they were heading towards the Nebula, and they actually went into the Nebula, and they ended up in the most unusual place in the universe, an antimatter universe, in a reverse universe. Basically in the normal universe, the space is dark and obviously the stars are shining. But in this reverse universe, everything going backwards, that's one thing, so the time flows backwards. The space was white and the stars were actually black. Even Scotty said at one point, we are functioning, but we have to learn again how to control the ship because everything works backwards. And obviously the time was reversing, biology is reverting as well, so everyone was getting younger at one point. They contacted with Kala 5, they understood her because they were in the reverse universe, and I mean they were thinking reversed and she was talking reversed and backwards, and complicated. So now they had a conversation and they found out, okay, Caliph was actually an explorer, and she ended up in their universe, and for herself it was a reverse universe because everything worked backwards. So they found out, okay, they won't be able to go back to the same way in the same place where they came through, but they actually found the possibility as supernovas and black holes, and the supernovas coming, they will get backwards. So Caliph and Spock, they discovered a Death Star that corresponds in a nova, in a supernova in the normal universe, and they found out, okay, if they accelerate the ship the same way, obviously backwards, they will be able to go through this Death Star, and they will end up in the other side of the nova. Obviously there was one really big point because of this, because they remained too long in this reversed universe, they started to getting younger, and with getting younger they started to lose everything in their knowledge and everything, so everything started to decrease and degrade in their heads as well, so all the knowledge gone, and they became teenagers and eventually infants. Spock was the only one actually who was able to stay in a mature age, younger, but fortunately Robert April was still in there, and he was getting younger as well, but he went back to the age when he was actually a captain, and he claimed himself, okay, I'm a captain, I'm Captain April, not Commodore April. So as long as Mr. Spock was able to proceed commands, he remained in the bridge. With the help of Robert April, who acted as a mature captain, they went back to their normal space. Obviously when they entered the normal space, they ended up as they were in the reverse universe. Everyone was younger than in the normal universe before. So Robert April and his wife, they were actually younger, and everyone else was kids and teenagers and infants. Even Captain Kirk was an infant, so it was, yeah, quite cute. Okay, so the solution for the problem, obviously, to use the transporter, and they reverted everyone back to their normal state. And at one point, April's wife said to Robert, you know, I don't really want to go back to my normal age. I'm young again, and we can live the life that we have again. You can command the starship again, and we can be together again as we've been before. There was a really touching part when Robert April said, yes, we could do that, but only in the case if our life weren't fulfilled, and our life were fulfilled because we stayed together. Wow. I think that part just came down to the basic understanding of what love means, and how you can accept yourself as a human being, and how you can accept your life as it is. If you live your life fully, and if you engage yourself in the maximum, and you give 110% to your lives and to your passion and to whatever you do, you don't need a second chance. You only have one chance, and if you make it so, you don't need another one. And Robert April realized that in that moment, and they obviously used the transporter and they reverted themselves as well. So, but it was a really touching scene. Obviously when everyone reverted back to the normal stage, they were still heading towards to Babel, and to escort the Aprils back to their retirement ceremony. But because of this action that Robert April did, they didn't retire him, and they just let him to practice and be as an ambassador and serve the galaxy as he did before. So as a last episode, and as a story, and generally speaking about this episode, I really loved it. I'm kind of sad because it's over, but it was a really nice and good and touching way to finish, let's say, finish this this series. I would definitely say it was one of the best episodes to have as a series finale. I definitely would give this episode 5 out of 5. Please let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this episode, and you know, generally about the whole animated series as a big series, as the not really talked about series in Star Trek communities. I'm not finished yet, so I'm going to do the weekly recap as I promised. From next Monday, they're going to be the 5-day recap of the animated series. I'm not going to do just one long episode. I'm going to do in batches. I'm going to do separate videos talking about the series and talking about separate segments of the series, because there's a lot of things to talk about still after discussing the episodes and discussing my feelings about the episodes. So The schedule sort of look like this. So the first episode will be characters and development, where I actually going to talk about the characters, recurring characters, and the development of the characters. The second episode will be stories, the best 3 and the worst 3 episode, but only my list, so don't take it as an offense or something. Episode 3 will be New Worlds and New Civilizations, where we're actually going to explore a couple of races and a couple of planets that I found really interesting. In episode 4 there are going to be a couple of behind the scenes information, mainly regarding the production, and a couple of mistakes and a couple of problems that I didn't really that I discussed during the episode, but I'm gonna get the main bits from that. And on episode 5 that will be my final thoughts. It will be a big finish, that will be just a general overview of the series, just like a recap, let's say, about the animated series. Guys, it's over in terms of the episodes. The recap will be on from next week, and I hope you're gonna stick with me, and I hope you will let me know your opinions about the animated series as well. I really enjoyed doing the episode reviews, and I'm looking forward to do the recap as well, and I hope you're going to be there and you're going to share your opinions about the topics that I'm going to talk about. So that was it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching as always. Don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the geekiness twice a week. And until next time, live long and prosper.